So one of the things that is a vital part of having a joy-filled life is having a flexible mind. So you bend, you don't break mentally, right? So if you have a flexible body, you can bend and not break. Well, same thing applies to your mind. So when you're so rigid and stuck in your ways, then you're like a stiff board mentally. And then one slight variation of anything that's different than what you think and believe, you go mental, because that's like, that shit break, it don't bend, right? So very important strategy of a joy fueler is training your mind to be flexible. So the way you do that is you have to realize all the different possibilities, and then you have to realize, well, you know, maybe a lot of those ways, if not all those ways, are you know, depending on the perspective and argument and life experience of a person, would make sense, right? And it's okay that people live differently and think differently. From their perspective, their way, it makes sense from what they've had as a life experience, etc. So then, when your mind is bendable, flexible, there's just going to be a drastic reduction in mental illness, in, you know, psychopath outbreaks of people losing their shit, either verbally or physically assaulting each other, and then yourself hurting yourself doing shit like that, right? We're never rigid on any particular idea, and we're never so married to other people being rigid, right? We're not that worried about what other people think. We're not worried about what other people think, right? We don't want to get emotions involved in that shit. So like with me, I think it's fun to do the experiment of like wiping the program completely clean and then putting a whole new program in there. Just to have different life experiences, different ways of being, different life experience. Different life experience of different ways of being. Do you understand? And so our brains are a computer. They function very much like a computer, just like way better. I'm on an amazing hike right now, and it's called Bells Falls in Bells Canyon. Super pretty. And we were just at the falls. Maybe I'll put that in the end of I'll put that at the end of this video because I recorded like a minute or so. So our brains are a computer, just to keep it very simple. And when your computer fucks up, right, what do? You wipe out the motherboard and you reprogram it. You clean it, you just wipe it clean. And then you reprogram it. Well, we don't want to wipe clean knowing how to walk and all that kind of shit, but we wipe it clean of like any belief system or perspective. You know, like, obviously, I mean, I guess it depends what you really want to experience, but like I have my boundaries off. I'm not going to wipe the part clean of where I believe that, you know, an older man going after a teenager and or younger and worse, women, man or woman, not just man, that's never going to be okay with me, you know, sexually. Even if it's consensual. It's just one of those things I can't bend my mind on, you know. So at my limits point, but there's a lot of areas where we can be very flexible, actually. And the programming makes us believe that we'll die without it, but it's lying. And so you'll actually, like, people will be like, you seem different, like, every time I see you. And it's because it's my intention to experience a lot of different ways of being. And I don't necessarily even try to be a certain way. I'm always tweaking, like, my perspectives and ways of thinking. And then I'll go to different places, you know, travel and go there a lot and be around people that are different than what I've ever experienced before. So then that I allow, by my choice, to infiltrate you naturally just copy or emulate or mimic or whatever the people's behavior and accents and ways of being whom you're around. And so because I'm willing to introduce myself to a lot of different people, of course the ones I really like are the ones I'm gonna hang out with. The ones I don't, like peace, sayonara, like you already know from some of my friend videos if you watch those. But I live life and experience a lot of it, and that infiltrates my personality and my way of being, and then it also influences my perspective and belief systems, because every person has a different variation of events. And so like I'll really ask and listen to their perspective, and then a lot of times I go, oh yeah, like now I understand it differently, and I dang near agree that that's a viable possibility, if not maybe a new thing I'm gonna kind of believe now myself, not married to, but just like consider as a possibility, etc. But it only happened because I claimed my motherboard of needing to be right and stuck on one perspective on most subjects. So then it allows the availability, the space in your mind, the openness and the willingness, right? 'Cause you allow it in for you to like completely change who you are over and over. And the reason why you'd want to do that is because it's fun, it's interesting, and it's good for you, right? But if you're rigid and stuck in one way of being, that's not healthy. It makes people really, really sick, mentally and physically ill. And, of course, if someone's trying to force you to change your way of being, then that also, but you don't want to, right? It's being done by force. Then that's also not good for you. Like, you want to be the chooser of this. So you're doing this intentionally yourself because you're choosing it because it's interesting and you want to, right? So I'm not talking about like situation like you're being forced. Like, if you don't want to, don't fucking do it. Even if not doing it is hurting you, to force yourself to do something you don't want to do, depending on how ready you are to acclimate to it, might be worse for you. You want to be at the point where you're wanting to do this. I ran down the mountain and lost my crew. They're nowhere to be found. I've got hiking partners this time. My daughter and my best friend, Jen. One of my best friends. All my girlfriends are my best friends. So it's true. I love them all equally. They're great ladies. So anyways, I was just talking to my son about stuff like that, so I wanted to do a video on it while I was hiking alone and could do it. So yeah, that's why you'll see me change and do different things, because it's fun and it's interesting, and the point of what I'm living this life for is to enjoy it, right? I don't believe in this we came here to suffer and martyr bullshit. We suffer because we're programmed into suffering, because someone's benefiting from us suffering. But that's not my plan, to go along with the programming, so the programming can fuck off. Look, my crew arrived. Hey, ladies.